ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar my dear friends, this is second video on the potentials of human brain. This video starts with the topic extraordinary potentials of our brains. The tiny bag of the human brain contains an eternal treasure which, if used cautiously, can offer the accomplishments and bliss of a divine life. However, no valuable would be of any use unless one recognizes their worth and mode of application. For example, if a tribal who has never seen or heard of any jewel finds a precious diamond on a street, he will not be able to make any fortune from it. Similarly, for a child, a pearl would be no better than a shining stone, and he would throw the pearl away after playing with it for a short while. That conscious mind in the brain can think is well known. The tasks of reading, writing, learning, and teaching are also performed by it. This way, its potentials are normally used for sustenance of livelihood and worldly success. If one seeks deeper insight and thoroughly links one's thought process with the eminence of truth and purity of knowledge, one might acquire someday the honored status of a saintly scholar or a revered erudite. This could be accomplished even if he or she does not possess any material wealth or higher social status. The root of inspiration is also contained in the core of the brain. The direction of thinking is guided by this inner power, which in turn governs one's behavior and deeds. Looking at one's lifestyle, mannerism, and activities, we can easily infer the level and direction of his thinking. In short, one's character and life is largely shaped by his thoughts, by the inspirations of his mind. Unraveling still deeper layers in the core of the brain would show a greater reservoir of the gems and pearls of astonishing powers. Realization of this source of immense potential and cautious attempts to channelize and make use of the associated streams of mental and spiritual currents can elevate one's life from an ordinary to an extraordinary glorious level. In terms of structural physiology and biochemistry, the human brain appears to be a living reservoir of electrical power instead of an organ made up of flesh and bones. Its millisecond to millisecond activities compare with that of a huge electrical power station. It seems as if God has kept a magical box in the compact basket of the skull. The sensitivity, creativity, and level of consciousness of the brain is so high as compared to the other organs of human body that one could consider it as the core of the very existence of a human being. At functional level, a human brain has two parts. One that encompasses the activities of the mind and the intellect. The faculties of thinking, logic, analysis, and decision making, etc., are governed by this part. The other part stores the memories, habits, and inherent tendencies. This part also controls the motor and sensory of functions of the body. Blood flow through the veins and arteries, consistent pumping of the heart, maintenance of the respiratory cycle, compression and expansion of the muscles, automatic twinkling of eyelids, regularization, regularization of metabolism, sleep, hunger, urination, motions, etc., are all activated and controlled continuously by the unconscious mind existing in the latter half the latter half of the brain. This could be termed as the latent mind. Each organ of the body is like an instrument which is well equipped with sophisticated components, but none of these can function automatically without the supply of energy and regulatory instructions from the unconscious mind. Despite extensive research on human brain, much of it, especially the unconscious mind, still remains undeciphered. The conscious mind sleeps during the night. It faints due to intoxication or anesthesia. In an instance of local anesthesia, when a particular portion of the body is temporarily made unconscious, the nerves connecting this organ with the conscious portion of the brain are inactivated. Thus, the signals of pain induced by a surgical operation of that particular organ do not reach the conscious mind, and so the operation is performed painlessly. It is the conscious mind that gets agitated or excited and suffers from mental disorders. Treatments in the mental hospitals are focused at the patient's conscious mind only. Medications of psychiatric diseases comprise of targeting and controlling this conscious faculty of the brain with respect to specific damage or abnormality. Though substantial progress has been made in understanding, regulating, and refining the conscious mind, the researchers, the researchers of psychology and neurosciences have so far analyzed only negligible fraction of the unconscious, including the subconscious and superconscious mind. The autoregulation, physiological, and other bodily functions are found to be normal in an insane person who is otherwise healthy. Such observations show that insanity or disorders of the conscious mind have negligible effects on the auto-regulatory activities of the unconscious mind. The brain processes its functions with the help of a complex network of nerve cells, neurons. There are about 10 to the power 10,000 billion, which is almost double the total human population on the earth. Neurons in this network, the connecting nerve fibers and insulating materials are also filled within the skull. The connecting nerve fibers and insulating materials are also filled within the skull. The neurons are scattered in the brain like a galaxy of billion trillion stars, sources of energy, which instead of gravitational attraction are connected by synaptic fibers. The diameter of a neuron is lesser than 1,000th part of an inch, and its weight is of the order of 6,000 billionth part, 6 into 10 to the power minus 10 of an ounce. The electrical currents flowing between the neurons via the nerve fibers carry the information in the form of signals, impulses from the sense organs to the brain and stimulate appropriate activity in the nervous system. An action of an axon of a neuron is a tiny fiber-like structure which is connected with the other neurons. The functional brain is a complex network of the synaptic connections between the neurons. The gigantic collection and networking of the 1,000 billion neurons possess astonishing powers of a divine giant. The tiny neurons, despite their negligible size and weight, contain the potentials of a complete human being. Humans could be dull, careless, or inactive, but the neurons are not. They are never waned or weakened in their normal lifetime, nor do they leave their efficient processing. Some portions of the neuronal network store, like a microfilm, the memories of ages, even what might appear to be a forgotten matter at the superficial level of our active memory is actually not lost from the registers of the brain. Its inscriptions remain stored in the hidden layers in some corner of our brain, and like the sudden growth of grass, the flashes of the forgotten matters or events are revived in the active memory as and when an opportunity arrives by the stimulation of the associated portion of the neuronal network. Dr. Penfield, a neurologist of Canada, had activated some memory cells of a patient by transmitting electrical impulses. To his surprise, the patient narrated the story and songs of a film as if he has just seen it, though in fact he had watched that movie about 20 years ago. Examples of extraordinary memory of some people often illustrate the immense power of the human brain. The sharp intellect and spontaneous decision making in some people is so remarkable that they appear like superhumans. People having extraordinary talents are not some exceptional beings who are endowed with such divine gifts. In fact, the seed of such faculties lies in the brain of every human being. In some people, it is inherently sprouted and grown significantly to manifest supernatural talents. However, it might blossom in the others too if cultivated by dedicated efforts. Dr. Penfield's research on human brain has shown that it has the normal capacity of storing, memorizing as many bytes of knowledge as could be contained in over 20,000 printed pages of a journal. On an average, a person views about 100,000 scenes of visual objects along with the visual perceptions, his brain also helps in the recording and recognition of the shape, color, pattern, sound, smell, and tangible features of the corresponding objects and transpires associated feelings in the mind. Whatever we observe or read in a day, most of it appears to have been forgotten by us the next day, although all of it remains stored in the. This is because of the lack of our concentration and the death of our abrupt or malign thinking that we insulate our conscious mind from the deeper layers of the brain. We often do not pay much attention to clean up and fine tune this divine machinery by purifying and controlling our thoughts and motions and protecting our brains from excitation at the level of sensory and motor activities. Sincere and disciplined practices of Swadhyaya, aiming at the uplifting of the self and the society as an integral part of the progress, offers adept guidance and support for proper conditioning of the mind. Practices of yoga and meditation are also used in training the brain and refining its intellectual faculties. Our careless attitude towards Swadhyaya and meditation, irregularities in our life, ignorance about our internal world is largely responsible for waning the awakened potentials of our brain and dumping its inherent talents in a dormant state forever. Dr. George Delgado has conducted several experiments on controlling some activities of the brain. His results indicate that by thorough analysis of the dynamics of neuronal network and control of its stimulation due to specific sensory activities, one can restrain hunger, thirst, thirst, concupiscence, etc. by intensive practices of control over the deeper functional regions of brain pertaining to the subconscious and unconscious mind. One might attain the power of reading others' mind or sending messages through thought waves, telepathy, without any external mode of communication. If we model the on, excited and off, inactive states of a neuron as the 0 and 1 bits of a computer memory, the basic storage in the memory of the human brain would be analogous to so many bytes that even a magnetic tape of a area equal to that of the Earth's surface would be insufficient to record this huge amount of information. Specific pieces of this grand stock of information are processed by the functional coding sequence of DNA and RNA. Dr. Holger Hayden of Sweden has shown that the structural state of human brain is not rigid. Its capacity and potentials can be varied with the help of specific biochemicals. Dr. Bernard Agronoff of the Michigan University had conducted some experiments on golden fish which showed that these fishes forget that they have eaten if they are fed with a dose of purine after food. The experiments on dogs resulted in loss of memory due to certain drugs. The pet dogs so treated had forgotten their houses and were unable to recognize their masters. Experiments with some medicines have shown partial effects of memory loss for a short time in the humans too. Investigations are going on to search for the techniques of switching off a specific portion of the memory permanently. This might be useful in relieving the patient from the indelible memories such as those of shocking incidents, demise of the dear and dear ones, tragedies, severe loss, events of disgrace or insult, animosity, etc., which quite often become the cause of psychiatric or psychosomatic disorders. The opposite kinds of experiments deal with increasing the memory and thereby helping many duffers and the amnesiacs. Just imagine a dull student would read his textbook just once and go for the exams with full confidence because the specific medicine gulped by him would help him recall everything read by him on the required topics. Lord Macaulay had an exceptionally sharp memory. He had written the history of Britain in 80 volumes without opening any other book for this purpose. He used to remember all the references, dates, and venues of the events and names of the people associated with those events since the day he met with, first saw, heard, or read about them. Map of any place ever visited by him, names and addresses of the people whom he had met at least once, information or knowledge of any kind ever required by him were so easily recalled by him as if he had crammed them by heart. A short while ago, people used to call him a moving library. Parson was a peerless scholar of Greek. He knew by heart all the books written in this language till his times and all the plays of Shakespeare. Mr. Richard Garnett, a one-time assistant superintendent of the British Museum, had become the chairman of the publication section of another museum for about 12 years. The catalogue and locations of the books were so perfectly stored in his memory that without lifting himself from the chair, he used to tell the exact location of the book asked for if the book was available in the stock. Moreover, he was even able to give an oral report on the context and level of the text inside the books. The above-mentioned historical examples give evidence in support of the immense power of the brain. It is rather unfortunate that we spent more time and efforts in searching and collecting the external world and the material substances instead of knowing our own inner self. All our activities are directly or indirectly associated with the use of matter and energy for worldly comforts. We hardly know anything about the treasure of invaluable pearls locked inside our skull. Whatever be the best of knowledge, potentials, and joys we gain from the external world, Much more than that could be attained by much lesser efforts by using the internal resources of our brains. Some Asian universities have experimented on brainwashing with the help of ESB, electrical stimulation of brain. So far, this technique has been partially successful when applied on the monkeys, dogs, cats, rabbits, etc. It was found in such experiments that these creatures forget about the food of their liking, their senses of fear, friendship, hostility, etc., and their natural tendencies change upside down due to the brainwashing treatments. For instance, when a rat was dropped in front of such a cat, she, instead of attacking it, got scared and hid herself in one corner. Peculiar behavior like attacking a fellow being violently for a few seconds and then suddenly hugging each other with love can be triggered in the animals by stimulating different portions of their brain by electrical signals. The human brain has much more complex and developed structure as compared to that of any other creature. Its resistance against external treatments also is high. However, the experiments of above kind have made a section of scientific community believe in principle that the tendencies and behavior of humans could also be controlled with the help of electrical and chemical treatments. If this becomes possible, then one day a dictator or a whimsical ruler would virtually convert the people of his kingdom as his slaves by forcing them to drink a chemical which would change their mind as per his will. What will be the use of intellectual activities of reading, writing, thinking, etc., if a handful of scientists would be able to uplift the mental faculties of people by certain electrical or chemical treatment? Then the generations of warriors, scholars, farmers, artists, etc., will be produced by appropriate treatment of the brains of the offsprings in the laboratory. Whether we are awakened or asleep, the brain continues to regulate various functions of our body with the help of its neurons and the nerves connected with the other components of the body through the spinal column. This bulk of the brain, weighing only about 3 pounds, needs about 20 watts of electrical power for performing the routine non-stop task. This energy is obtained from the stock of glucose and oxygen available in the body. According to modern scientific understanding, each thought, desire, emotion, every kind of experience or perception corresponds to specific electrical impulses and biochemical processing inside the brain. The technique like EEG, electroencephalograms help visualize the electrical activities inside the brain. Most of the investigations in neuroscience are at present aimed at medical treatment of the physical and mental abnormalities due to the imbalance or damage in the harmonious functioning of the brain. Deeper understanding of the brain, especially the unconscious and subtler mind, might help the researchers to find the methods of improving one's mental faculties and elevating the level of thoughts and emotions. Not only the exceptional memory, the strong willpower of some people also sets live examples of the internal strength of the human brain. Dr. Ralph Alexander had demonstrated this power publicly in Mexico City several years ago. The viewers of this show included the representatives of leading newspapers and magazines, groups of scientists, intellectuals, and elite of the society, along with the general public. Dr. Ralph had planned to demonstrate how the clusters of clouds could be formed in a desired shape and moved in the sky at one's will. The show began as per schedule. The sky was clear at the time. After a short while, the demonstrator Dr. Ralph brought clouds there on public demand. With the help of his strong willpower, he could change the shapes, scattering patterns, and movements of the clouds as per the demand of the viewers. The news of this exciting exhibition of the remote influence of willpower had then appeared under both bold headlines in almost all newspapers of America. Renowned scientist Alan Applegate had written a detailed article in the magazine Psychology with reference to Dr. Ralph's demonstration. He had commented that the willpower of a human is a special kind of electrical energy current by which one can influence the activities of nature in the targeted space. This is a scientific method of triggering high energy aura. Such demonstrations should not be regarded as magical shows. The above discussed are few illustrations of the extraordinary capabilities of the human brain. In the deeper depths of this ocean of consciousness, there lie more amazing potentials which are still beyond the reach of modern material-based sciences. The science of spirituality is much advanced in this regard. It offers the methods of internal evaluation, realization, and control of the brain without using any external means. It also contains the key of sublime transformation of the physical, mental, and spiritual levels of all human beings. I conclude this video here. Next video number 3 will continue about the human brain. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video. Subscribe the channel. Namaskar my dear friend. Thank you.